What's up, guys? Jacob over here, coming with my reactions from Game 7 of the National League Championship Series. The Brewers fall 5-1 in a game that started so good for them. Yelich hit a home run in the second at-bat of the game, but after that it was all downhill. Chacin got hit for a 2-run home run from Bellinger in the second inning, and then Puig added to it with a 3-run home run off of Jefferson, the top of the sixth, I believe. And the Brewers lose. When Yelich hit the home run, I legitimately thought the Brewers were going to win the game and go to the World Series, and this is by far the closest they have gotten in a very, very long time. 36 years to the day that they lost Game 7 of the 82 World Series, and now we're going to have to wait over a year until they have another shot at this. Man. This is, without a doubt, one of the most heartbreaking losses in my entire sports watching life. Jesus. The way that I felt after Yelich hit the home run, it was just, I really believed that they were going to win. I really did. And to have it end up like that, it's just brutal. Of course, the Brewers were playing with house money this year. They got farther than anybody ever expected them to, and they won the division. They came back from 6 down in the NL Central against the Cubs, who are obviously one of my most hated teams of all time. I absolutely despise the Cubs. Dodgers are definitely right up there now after that series, though. Jesus, there's so many just unlikable players on that team. It's ridiculous, and I'm not going to watch a single second of the World Series, I'll tell you that, because I don't think I'd be able to deal with the fact of watching a series that I know the Brewers should have won. They should have won Game 2. They should have won Game 4. It's just but at the end of the day, it's just a bunch of ifs, and the Brewers weren't able to get it done, and that was their season. They had the firepower this year. They had the ability to get to the World Series, and their bullpen was fantastic throughout the entire regular season and postseason, and that's what really helped them out. And pitching wins in the postseason, and that's what gave them a chance in so many games this year, and that's why they got to the point that they did. But obviously that doesn't take away the sting from the loss. It was just brutal. Just a brutal loss. It's not like we got walked off or anything, or gave up a big home run in the top of the ninth or anything like that, but the utter hopelessness that you felt from the 8th inning going on, it was horrible. Just horrible to watch. And it sucks that the offense had to do this today. They've been pretty bipolar all year. They've had games where they just you don't think they'd ever stop hitting, and then they have games like that where you just can't even buy a hit. You can't even buy a base runner. It's just, and the approach, I think, especially in those early innings when the Brewers were down 2-1, was just, it wasn't good. It really wasn't good. I felt like the Brewers were just trying to swing and tie the game at each pitch, and the reason why they won last night was because they were just looking to stick the bat out there on it, and they ended up getting 4 straight hits on that one part. So it is what it is. The Brewers lose. Not really sure what else to say at this point. They're going to be back next year. That's guaranteed. They're going to be the best team in the National League entering next year. They've got pretty much everybody returning. They don't have any expiring contracts. They have Kane for another 4 years, Yelich for another 3 years, and those guys are the backbone of the lineup, obviously. They're going to have Hader for a while. They're going to have a lot of these guys who were keyed in this run. They're going to have a lot of them for a long time, and that's the reason for hope. In 2011, they were going to lose Prince Fielder or Ryan Braun, one of the two, and you had to make a choice there for free agency. But with this team, it's different, because not only do they have their key offensive stars locked up, they also have all this great pitching, all this great young pitching that's going to hopefully blossom next year. I expect Brandon Woodruff to be in the lineup or in the rotation next year. I expect Jimmy Nelson to be in the rotation next year. Maybe Freddie Peralta, Corbin Burns, obviously. These are a lot of really young, bright faces the Brewers have, and they have a great future ahead of them. But regardless of what they do from here on out, nothing's going to take away from the sting of this loss. It's really hard for me to really put it into words, but it hurts. It really does. And, and you think back to Game 2, you guys remember I went to that game and I had my reactions walking back to my car after it, and, Granderson's fly ball that would have been just, if it was just 2 to 5 feet to the right, it would have been a home run and the Brewers would have won that game. And that was the difference between them losing tonight and clinching yesterday. And, that loss is probably going to be up there for one of my most heartbreaking losses ever. And I think at that time, obviously the series wasn't over at that time, but I think I knew walking back to the car that, the idea of taking that 2-0 series lead there and having to only win 2 more games the rest of the series, to win it, I think I knew that was the game that really decided it. And it was the game that decided it. The Brewers, forced themselves into a situation where they had to go on the road and win at least one, and they did, but then they lost the final 2, then they put their backs against the wall. They won last night, but, 2 must-win games like that, the pressure really gets to you, and it might have gotten to the offense tonight, having to play in this Game 7. The pressure was really on, and that could have been a reason why they were just really struggling at the plate. So, it is what it is. The Brewers lose. I think they will be back at some point in these next 3 to 5 years or so. I do think they'll be back in this similar situation. I don't know if it's going to be next year or not, given how unpredictable baseball can be, but they will be back at some point. I can guarantee that. And you can mark it down right here. I think that with Kane and Yelich on the team, when their window of time, I think the Brewers do win the World Series. I do think that. I think with the great arms in their rotation coming up, and you've got Keston Hiura or however you pronounce his last name. I'm not sure. Sorry if I butchered that, but you got that second baseman prospect coming up, the top prospect. And things are really looking up for the team. And a lot of people didn't even think the Brewers were going to make the playoffs this year, let alone make it to Game 7 of the National League Championship Series. So, you got to give them credit for that. You really do. So. Anyways, guys, thanks for watching. Thanks for sticking with me through this season. It was a season full of really big highs, and really low downs. But through it all, the Brewers defied the odds and made it all the way to the National League Championship Series with the 22nd highest payroll, lost to a team with the 3rd highest payroll in 7 games. So, in a way, the Brewers really did prove that their way of doing things could work, and it almost did work. They almost made the World Series. It came a game within it, so... Anyways, guys, though, thanks for watching. Like I said, thanks for sticking with me through this season. It was really tough to have to watch them lose in this game, but I know they will be back. And, we got the Packers, we got the Bucks, we got the Badgers, and, sports isn't dead in Wisconsin, and I'll be making tons of videos on those teams as we go forward. So, anyways, guys, signing off here. Brewers lose Game 7, but they will be back, and you can mark that down. See you guys next time.